My name is Johnny Ibarra. This is for English 1302, Professor Griffin's class. The focus of my research paper is Tim O'Brien's The Things They Carried. It depicts the Vietnam War and how it affected soldiers, the way Americans viewed war, and how advanced weapons compounded destruction and the trauma the soldiers experienced. To begin with, let's look at a map of Vietnam, which is 8,000 miles away from Los Angeles. The country is composed of 8 regions that vary in terrain from hills to dense jungle to river deltas and to the mountain range separating Vietnam from Cambodia. The terrain made it very difficult for troops to carry 50-pound packs and equipment daily. The Vietnam campaign was a Cold War era conflict that occurred in Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam from 1955 to when Saigon fell in April of 1975. The parties involved were North Vietnam, which was backed by China and other communist allies, and South Vietnam, which was backed by the U.S. and anti-communist allies. Advanced technology allowed for longer-ranging weapons, smaller communication units that could be carried, and automatic weapons. In addition, helicopters were used as major transport for the first time. The destruction caused by these weapons and guerrilla warfare created greater trauma in this war. The Vietnam War ended without signs of a clear victory. Many were missing in action and soldiers were spat on when they returned home. Here we have some statistics from the Vietnam War. It looks like almost 3.5 million people served in the war. Another 50,000 men served in Vietnam between 1960 and 1964. Women also played a large part. 7,484 women served in Vietnam. 6,000 of these, or 83.5%, were nurses. Peak troop strength in Vietnam was almost a little over 500,000 people on 30th of April 1969. We lost a lot of people in Vietnam. We lost a total of 58,220 soldiers. "91% of our veterans of actual combat and 90% of those who saw heavy combat are proud to have served their country. 66% of Vietnam vets say they would serve again if called upon. 87% of the public now holds Vietnam vets in high esteem. As I said before, when they came home, they were called baby killers and were spat on at the airports. Let's look at some of the weapons used in Vietnam. On the screen here we have the Colt Model 1911, which was standard issue for the Army and the Marines. Here we have the Smith & Wesson 38 Special Caliber, which was issued to the Air Force Security Police Forces, the Air Force pilots, and the naval pilots. Here on the back of this soldier is the M16, the rifle that all soldiers carried. And he also has a guitar, which, like in Tim O'Brien's story, many of the soldiers carried a lot of their personal items with them, just to remind them of home. Here's the M60 automatic machine gun, with plenty of ammunition built, which were very heavy to carry. This is the M79 grenade launcher, which was in the right hands a weapon of great destruction. As for communications, here we have the PRC-77 Scrambler radio and the PRC-25 radio. These are the standard issue dog tags, which were issued then and are still issued today. Here we have the bayonet and the machete. The bayonet was affixed to the end of the M16 rifle. The machete was very critical in cutting through the dense jungle. As for the soldiers' sustenance, here we have the C-rats, which were issued out in the field. If you look, the government even issued cigarettes to them. Here is the helicopter, which was the first time that it was widely used in jungle warfare. It was used to transport the troops in and out of the jungle, especially the wounded ones. This is what our soldiers look like carrying their full gear. As you can see, it was kind of weighty. Last but not least, we have the Vietnam Memorial. It was 1982 before the memorial, before the government provided a national site to honor the Vietnam veterans. Over 58,000 names are carved on the wall. It is a lasting visual of the destruction of war. Here we have a lot of visitors visiting the Vietnam Memorial. Thousands of visitors visited every year. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for listening.